Hey, what's going on, guys? Over here, and welcome back to the Pitlane Podcast, episode number 89 today to review the Austrian Grand Prix. What a race that was. After a couple of so-so Grand Prix in 2018 Formula 1, we got given an absolute treat of a Grand Prix. It all kicked off, everything happened. We're back, usual hosts, myself, Aarav, Callum and Tom, to review all the action, or most of the action. Is actually too much for us to probably get through in an entire podcast, I'm not going to lie. But guys, fellas, what do you think of that overall? Max Verstappen winning it, both Mercs out, a whole host of overtakes. It's just a lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, stuff that probably none of us expected at all, especially after qualifying, in which we all thought it looked like an easy Merc win. We all thought it was probably an easy Merc 1-2. And then it looked like it was going to be pretty much single file as we went through the top 10. But everything that happened, we didn't expect. Amazing amount of overtakes on the first lap, especially between the front runners and through the field as well. Drivers coming through from the back, loads of overtakes, brilliant strategies, tyres going off. It had the absolute lot, and yeah, the fact that I don't think we're going to be able to get through everything in this podcast, but the main juicy bits that did affect the race result, including obviously a pretty major one in the team in Mercedes camp on what a woeful Grand Prix they had, and showing that during this triple header, how everything can just get turned straight onto its head.
Yeah, I completely agree. Great race. It's blown everything wide open, and we're going to Silverstone with everything all to play for, and that is absolutely awesome. So, yeah, I personally, as a neutral, enjoyed it. I thought we had a bit of everything, battles all up and down the field, and some really good unpredictable results as well. So, yeah, I think the best thing is probably just to delve into a team-by-team dissection of exactly what happened, and I think it's only fair we start off with I would say normally the winners, but I feel like it's maybe right we start off with the big losers today.
It's really hard not to speak about them in all this, so we may as well address
Yeah, I think we
the
should.
elephant
I
in
think
the
that's
room.
the biggest point. Obviously, starting off from Saturday, Bottas did a great job to get pole. I think everyone was kind of happy about that, because I think even we mentioned it on the last podcast that it's been unfortunate that he hasn't been able to shine a little bit, and yeah, for half the weekend he did, and then, well, lap one wasn't great for him off pole. Kimi was the one in third place that had a lightning start, and I saw a few journalists liken it to the old Iceman of like '05, the way he got that start. Shoved Bottas off a little bit, and then Bottas did really well to recover, like really well. It's a very weird camera angle the race showed, like it was like that overhead shot, and you just about pick out in the distance that Bottas comes through down the inside and managed to get second place. But then, yeah, the gearbox failure. Does this man get any luck at all?
No, just he's getting none so far this season. I do feel sorry for him, and I think like Channel 4 did a piece on him as they went into the weekend going, is it time that your luck improved? Obviously everyone's like, oh yeah, I hope my luck improves.
Yeah.
He gets pole position, he does the absolute job, and then weirdly we see a Mercedes issue, and it's very, very rare we see a Mercedes issue having a gearbox issue. And I have to say fair play to Bottas, because off the start obviously it was poor. Hamilton did exactly what he needed to do, just go up the inside. 3-1 doesn't really go, so Bottas was always going to be held out to dry. But the fact that he managed to re-overtake two cars to get himself back into second, I thought that was absolutely brilliant, compared to earlier on in the season when he wasn't praised as very aggressive. The fact that he managed to come back whilst Verstappen and Raikkonen were battling over the same piece of tarmac, Bottas just did exactly what he needed and put the team into the strongest position of leading the race in a 1-2. On the other side of the garage, because obviously we've got one bit of bad luck for Bottas, we've got Hamilton, which I think ends a 30-plus streak ever since it was Malaysia 2016, his last retirement. It's rare to see him walking back in the paddock early in the race, and it's done wonders for the championship, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this really got blown out of proportion. It happens, it's motor racing. Like Ricardo said in the Channel 4 post-interview, you know, retirements happen, it's race cars, you know. And the fact is now since Malaysia 2016, you could say it was sort of coming, because I think he had the longest streak of all time of consecutive points finishes.
Yeah.
So he's literally been on, he can't complain about reliability, he's been on an incredible run. Yeah, it just happened to happen, you know, like, how can I put it? Maybe I'm being a bit harsh here, but it's hard to feel sorry for him after what happened to Bottas, especially what's been happening to Bottas all season. You feel for him, but then you look at Bottas and you're like, Man, it still hurts so much for him, you know. But overall, the incredible start of the day was Mercedes' first technical-related double DNF, not by crashing, since 1955. So officially the first one since they've come back to F1, where they've both retired due to car failures.
I think Toto Wolff even said like this one felt worse for them than when Rosberg and Hamilton crashed. Because I guess it's kind of like it's more that was on the drivers. This was purely just the car, so it's a bit more like the entire team is involved. It's not just two drivers making a mistake or anything like that. So yeah, that was difficult. But even before that retirement for Hamilton, there was the bigger blunder for Mercedes really before that kind of already chucked the win away. You know, this would have been, if Hamilton hadn't retired, would have been damage limitation. But before that, the, pretty much shocking decision really, because I don't know about you two, but it just kind of seemed kind of obvious that why didn't you just bring him in? Because like they confirmed, he wasn't past the pit lane entry when that virtual safety car came out. So
but was he close though? Was it like touching?
No, I don't think it was.
No, I think it was like on the little straight just before that little kink where the pit lane entry starts to be painted onto the track. I think he was pretty much there. So I think it could have been a call that they definitely could have made, and they decided not to. It was I can't remember his second name, but James from Mercedes, a V something, I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
Vowles,
someone I've not heard of so far, not a lot at all. But he was the one who made a decision, I guess, on the pit wall or in the garage, and he was the one on the radio then, which is kind of rare because usually it's just Hamilton and Bono. But yeah, James got on the radio. He's like, that was my call, my bad. So, I don't know. Fair play to that guy for putting his hand up. Hamilton clearly then got very irked by that. And that's another kind of debate, because I saw a few people discussing about Hamilton then afterwards. After that had happened, it sounded like he kind of, a few people were saying, kind of sounded like Hamilton lost his head almost a little bit in the cockpit and got very, very irked. But that decision itself,
he does that though.
Yeah, he has done.
When the team hasn't helped him, and he feels a little bit, I think, isolated out there.
That's
and you're
rare,
like,
though.
How the hell? But it is rare.
Was harsh. I thought it was like he was very harsh on on James, because even, let's be honest here, I think in hindsight, and I don't think Hamilton was nailed on for a win today, because no one knew how bad that soft tyre was going to be on his car, and most likely he was going to go on that tyre anyway. Little did they know how badly that tyre would actually work for everybody, including Lewis. So I don't think the win was as clear cut as people say. I think he was a lot happier on the super soft. How much longer he's meant to stay out for? Not much longer, because he was telling the radio his tyre was going. So for me, Lewis was sort of almost going to go on a two-stop anyways race by harsh luck, because I think the soft sort of surprised a lot of people with the Red Bull and the Mercedes especially not really working well. But I don't know. It felt very, the radio messages and the way it went down. It's I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong words here, but it's like a dictatorship almost. Really, sort of the way Hamilton spoke on the radio. It's like, what was that then, guys? Or give me answers. Or it's almost like how dare you call me in for that strategy? It's like belittle them almost in a way.
Yeah, but I think it's not the first time that Mercedes have done that. But it is, as fans of the sport, I think even we know that. If it's known as a once, even though it could have been a two-stop, during any Grand Prix race, you more than likely you do want to pit under the virtual safety car. You do need to take that opportunity, and the fact that they didn't was a huge blunder in itself. But you can see why people are unhappy, this, that, and the other. But Mercedes have been fairly impeccable ever since 2014. They pretty much nail everything when it comes to their drivers, their reliability, their strategy, their everything. And it does seem that there is a slight chink in their armour this season. It is a shame to see it all fall apart, and it is a shame to see Hamilton in that way, because he does attract a lot of attention that way. The way that he acts a bit spoiled, it acts like he's the dictator of the team. You've got to point out that Ferrari have fucked over Kimi and Vettel a lot more.
And Vettel as well.
Than Hamilton, and yet they don't rage as much.
On the strategy.
But that's what Hamilton's always been like, innit? It's just the moment he loses that mental drive and he gets distracted. When he's in the zone, and no one's beating him. But when he isn't, he takes himself out of that, complains a bit too much, and then it just kind of falls apart.
He was in the zone until the VSC.
Yeah,
fastest lap
but
every single
whether
lap,
or
he was on
not
it.
he would have won the race, whether or not he wouldn't, you know what it's like when you're out in front. I think Hamilton's very good at race management, so I don't feel like the softs would have hurt him as much. Like for example, with Verstappen, he didn't have any issues with the tyres because he was out in front, not pushing. Contrasting that to Ricciardo, where he completely burned up his rears, blisters all into them. But I think just to round out Mercedes, really, it's just the odd circumstance that they both had a retirement on the same day, and the odd circumstance that it also came on the day where they throw away the race win. Probably a good job that they had that retirement, actually, because it did take the pressure off James Vowles, who has been in the team, has been an integral part of that team for a very, very long time. So the fact that fans are going out there and going, yeah, he needs to be sacked, and even better, fans naming the wrong person to get sacked. I don't know whether you've seen this. James Allison, he doesn't even control team strategy.
Like Mercedes actually came out and tweeted saying it's not James Allison is not the person responsible for the strategy. Like people, I don't know, people are so gullible and so quick to make quick calls on things. I just think Mercedes, they've been so perfect for the V6 era that when they do get something wrong, it's not just bad, it's like awful, horrendous, and I think it gets blown way out of proportion when it's just a very ordinary one-off with the DNF, which, you know, on paper, Hamilton could sort of find some positives and some solace in knowing that even if the strategy had gone right and they had not messed it up, he would have broken down anyway, and that would have hurt a lot more having him being the leader of the race. So I think he couldn't have won today. Whether it been through tyres or through a DNF, I think the win would have been hard for him, you know, because I just think the way it was going to play out, it would have been tricky. And also, sort of moving on now to Red Bull, surprising, the race pace was immense. It came out of nowhere. I don't think no one saw that coming after Fridays. I mean, apparently they're like half second off on the long ones, and they were sort of racing Haas on Friday, so...
Weren't they like saying constantly, yeah, we're not in the fight?
Yeah, or even qualifying. I mean, Grosjean split the Red Bulls. So, yeah, I don't know. Fair play.
The fact that the Haas managed to out-qualify them after the whole quali blunder as well, with the whole toe thing.
Yeah, like if it's
a very strange circumstance.
Yeah, Grosjean could have definitely had a top 5 in qualifying, which would have been pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, still paid out for him in the race anyway, so good on him for that. But
Verstappen, fair play. You got to doff your cap and, you know, give credit where it's due. He's bounced back. Third, second, and now first. 3 podiums in a row. He's getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, so, it's really turning it around, which is fair play to him, to be fair. And the fact that he managed to pull it off there and then, like it is whenever Mercedes blunder, it's usually Red Bull that's picking up the pieces. And we always point towards Ferrari. Ferrari should... It is odd, because whenever Mercedes mess up, it's never Ferrari that pick up the pieces.
I still think Ferrari still won today. Big time.
Well, they won a lot for the championship.
They need both championships now.
Yeah.
They won a lot for the championship,
In this case, I think they knew. I think they could have, if they really needed to, I think they maybe could have thrown everything at catching Verstappen and maybe even switched Kimi and Vettel around. But I just think they were like, you know what? We can leave here, leading both championships. We'll just, you know, we'll keep pushing him to see if he makes a mistake. But I don't think we'll throw everything at it because we've got good points here with both cars retiring.
I mean, this race was great for a good reset. Like 3 different wins for 3 different teams. Like that's just a good sound. That's just a very good sound.
I was telling my dad so far now 9 races in, 3 for Red Bull, 3 for Ferrari, and 3 for Mercedes.
So that's something ever happened, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I will say, I've got to be honest though. Before the whole Hamilton saga thing, after 15 laps, I was like, it's going to be a Hamilton triple header whitewash. Like I said, it's a real nice sort of cleanse almost, or a reset button going into the next race. So. Yeah, it's good. I loved it. And as for Ricciardo, birthday boy, I've said it before, these sort of, whether it's your birthday, your home race, your last race, your debut, or anything sort of special.
It's not a kind sport in that way.
It never goes well for you. Ricciardo, he seemed pretty well. He took it well. He didn't seem too gutted about it. I think because I think he also knew he just didn't really have the pace of Verstappen or the Ferraris or the Mercedes. I think he was going to struggle a bit. Because the Ferraris really got strong towards the end of the race. So I think Ricciardo would have been struggling anyway. So I think he's just got to get his head down and bounce back in Silverstone, because Ricciardo's, it's quite interesting how the Red Bull drivers sort of have like highs and troughs. They sort of, you know, higher, then they dip. They have different momentum shifts. It's really, really interesting because at the start of the season, Ricciardo was just on cloud nine, whereas Verstappen was way down. Now it's the other way around, you could say. Verstappen now is, on a high. And towards the end of last season, Verstappen ended the season so strong, and Ricciardo was so low. So it's incredible they just keep sort of interchanging.
Yeah, I think that almost like the way that Red Bull what they need to do is they need to somehow unlock the potential of getting both drivers, like one of them on a high and then the other one on a kind of just a good like second place there right behind him. So it's not like a dramatic difference of so we got one guy first and another guy all the way down here, no points. So that's kind of maybe the little magical touch Red Bull need, but a very mature drive from Verstappen after all the stuff we talked about of. Just being a little bit immature and being a little bit maybe harsh and thrashy a little bit, before the season. Very mature drive to control those tires because, like you pointed out, Ricciardo pretty much ate into those tires. The blistering was very, very clear. Obviously, the track temps through the curveball for everyone. So, yeah, I'd kind of tend to agree with what you were saying, Tom. Maybe before that, Hamilton maybe wasn't a slam dunk win. But it definitely was more in his hands before that decision. But Verstappen, the way Horner described it, lifting off in a few, right-handers to try and protect the tyres and then gaining time elsewhere. And the fact that his left tyre was better than his right tyre, which usually isn't the case at Austria, so he's doing a fantastic job there. So you got to give the guy big props for turning up.
He's good at race management. Really good at race management.
Well, he showed that off today.
He is very dominant. He gives me he does give me a world championship winning sort of vibe. Like the way that he can just sit out from, he doesn't really need to be told anything. Like we've barely heard any team radio.
Well, yeah, the Red Bull guys asked him like, "Are you fine on tires? Because like Rick's really bad. Like, how are you doing?" He's like, "I'm happy. I'm good." It's fine.
Yeah. So it's fair play to him because again, like the fact that obviously Ricciardo had 2 wins so far this season already. Yeah. The odds were stacked against him constantly, and then with the whole qualifying saga as well, the fact that he has now picked up that win, and it's only Bottas hasn't won a race this season, has he? And neither has Raikkonen. So the fact that he's managed to get wins with 4 Raikkonen and Bottas is obviously Bottas is a slightly different comparison to where Kimi is, but I think he can carry the momentum now forward and. The fact that Red Bull turn up at their home track with Mercedes and Ferrari not even considering them as race winners and potential threats, and the fact that they managed to turn it on their head and outrace the Ferraris is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And this is what kind of epitomises 2018 so far, which is just makes me really happy, like really, really happy. Aside of the whole me being a Hamilton fan, it was very painful. It's all for the sport. It's all for the narrative, and I'm all for it.
I just want to say we're not avoiding the qualifying situation. There's just not much to say here.
It was a little bit stupid.
It's an inter-team thing. You can call it how you want it. Simple as that. I don't think there's much more to it because it's something in amongst themselves that they've obviously arranged. So it's up to them to sort it out. But you could argue cracks starting to appear maybe in the relationship. But anyway. I guess we move on to the red cars. And speaking of Kimi before being winless, I was really rooting for him at the end there. I genuinely thought for a second, he was like, you know what, I think he might actually get this. When he started putting in the fastest laps right towards the end, I was like, maybe, you never know. I've got to say fair play. I think Kimi drove it again, another brilliant race. I think after Paul Ricard, that's 2 now, he's had a pretty good performance. Literally when he looked like he was dead and buried for Leclerc, he's sort of
I don't know
again and come back again.
I know it's interesting you say that because I think a lot of the media are pinning that as a really poor race for Raikkonen because he had a good start, but then think about it afterwards. Had the mistake with Verstappen got by him. He could have put up a much bigger fight against Verstappen, and that ultimately was actually the race-winning move on Raikkonen, and then. But later on, we just saw him have that. I can't remember what lap it was, but it was a lock up into the right-handers. They into the heart of sector 2,
and Ricciardo got by.
And then just generally like there wasn't any other sparkle apart from that really amazing start. So that's interesting because all the articles I've seen so far have pretty much pinned that as on the weekend where there was so many rumors about Leclerc actually putting pen to paper. For a contract, that he didn't really actually do anything amazing that race. Like second place, he got second place, but I don't like in his situation. I honestly don't think just getting second place is good enough.
Yeah, I mean, we all want Leclerc in the Ferrari, don't get me wrong, but I just think he sort of just found a bit of form as it looked like he was dead and buried. I disagree. I thought the Verstappen move was risky. That could have easily ended a lot worse and potentially a penalty for Max because he did sort of go for the sort of overtake you do on the F1 game, not in real life, by just literally throwing it in there and hoping Raikkonen would react in this. And luckily, fair play, the save was incredible because he was off like on the marbles and somehow didn't even go on the gravel. And then with the Ricciardo one, obviously he locked up, but then he did actually get Ricciardo back later on. So
I was going to point that one out. I genuinely can't remember the last time someone overtook someone and then someone overtook them.
It crossed my mind when I saw it.
That's never happened before.
Whenever someone's catching someone and they're faster than them, once they pass them, they're dead and buried. That's it. Yeah. It's done. But this is what I'm saying. Ferrari surprised me this race because they look really poor in stages, especially in the first part of the race. But towards the end, they kept them tyres in really well. The softs, they ran them tyres sweetly. Like you could see on any on-boards, off-boards, they had no marks in their tyres. Like they were perfect.
I think Ricciardo
and they were just getting stronger every single lap.
I think Ricciardo just pushed way too early on those tyres. Obviously not knowing. I think they didn't know how the blistering was going to be affected this race.
Yeah,
everyone was in the dark. Same with Hamilton. He was trying to push as hard as he could because obviously he was quite flustered, so he might have just been going that little bit more aggressive than he might have done if he had his head a little bit more in check. And that definitely helped the Ferrari guys because I think, they remained calm and collected a bit out there and kind of been like, okay, so we want to try and push a little bit to catch Verstappen, but then towards the middle stint, I guess you could say, when Hamilton did retire and all the retirements basically started happening, they kind of went, okay, cool, we need to keep the tyres in because we don't want to do a second stop. There's no point to do one. So they did well there. Calm, collected. Not something you always say about Ferrari, but...
I picked up something very interesting yesterday. I watched a documentary from last season with the whole Hamilton versus Vettel title battle. And someone made a documentary season long with just focusing on them two. And there was so much team radio in there. And it's amazing how they... I learned a lot of how sort of they work and how they contrast. And I do genuinely get that feel of Ferrari getting better. And they keep on improving on this whole not really on the radio much, keeping quiet. And the engineer that always speaks to Sebastian, he always gives him very sort of relaxed, encouraging messages. Like Ala won, the famous undercut, which was never a possibility, which he was 15 seconds behind it. I think it was at Monaco.
No, it was Germany.
Oh, Germany, sorry, yeah.
Hockenheim, yeah.
But
2016, I remember.
What I'm saying is, even though it's false hope, there's never a negative message on the radio. So even if it says, good pace, keep it up, or you're looking for these sort of lap times, or you're looking to gain this much per lap, there's never really a negative message where if something does go wrong in the Mercedes camp, it's a lot more on edge. It's awkward to ask any questions because there might be a bite back. Like if you listen to the radio, Vettel will never bite back at his team. And I feel like this was one of the races where both Raikkonen and Sebastian were just sort of drilled in, doing what they had to do. And I think at the end they just sort of realised, we saw the bigger picture. Try and catch Max, but if not, we'll take it because both Mercedes are out, so we'll just bring in the points. But I thought Vettel as well.
Go on.
I'll just finish on Vettel quickly. Again, another mistake. Whether it was down to him or the team for not telling him for the sign situation, who knows? Penalty debate. Personally, I don't think he should have been given the penalty. I'll explain why in a second. But Vettel should have been leading the championship by more points. He should have won the race today because if he had not got the grid drop, he would have led the entire race pretty much. So, that's me done. You can speak.
I think you know what you mean. I think your reasoning is for not having a penalty is just the fact that, something got through, didn't really affect. It was going to affect the championship. It got through, and it didn't really affect anyone overall. And then obviously the age-old debate of Ferrari international assistance versus the Mercedes one, whichever that one is.
That's a load of bollocks.
And the whole Hamilton-Silverstone 2017, the one that we three personally watched, and I thought he'd get a penalty for that because that was a lot worse than what I think people thought at first. But it was a little bit silly from Vettel, but still he's good at damage limitation. He did come back through.
Sainz took it really well, didn't he?
Very fair play to Sainz actually, because some drivers would kick up a huge fuss about that, but
he literally said it in a very sort of because it's happened to him before, and he sort of
so he was very sympathetic. He was like, it can happen. The team just don't tell you in time. So,
but now I guess everyone will be claiming for consistency now when these sort of things happen, because people are bringing up the whole Montreal Vettel Q2 lap when he had to sort of zigzag through cars. But
They
ultimately,
can never
I think
penalise that sort of incident. 'cause
exactly.
You can't penalise multiple drivers. It's just how the cookie crumbles when it comes to that sort of thing.
I think with the Vettel one, I think it's as simple as the decision was made late anyway. So if I think there's more of a, it's more than reasonable to just think, did it cost Sainz Q3? Fine, penalise him. Did he get through? Then it's fine. Simple as that. I don't think there's much more to it, because if the decision was made in the moment before Q2 ended, and that happened right there and then, and they say, right, that's a penalty, mate. Fair enough, because it's in the moment. But because they took the decision after, and you know the consequence of the action, and it didn't affect anybody, I thought it was a bit pointless.
It's just consistency. One thing I did want to point out was Kimi, and where he's in the championship. Like, you know how we always laugh at the fact that how many podiums he picks up and never a win. But that's a solid 18 and 15 points consistently being picked up, and it's put him third in the championship, and he's only 45 points off the lead.
He's on a bit of a podium run, isn't he? Like 3 or 4 races at the podiums now.
Like, if we see more issues for Hamilton, more issues for Vettel, he's not going to be far off. And obviously, we come off the back of the race where, and obviously the illustrious, famous switch back in the day in 2002 when Ferrari switched their drivers around right on the last lap. There was talk about, I think obviously I'm going to guess that Sky said it, but I know Channel 4 said it. If they were going to switch, and you think about it, that would have been hella unfair with Kimi being so close to the championship lead.
It would have been a very typical thing to do, but I'm glad they didn't. And this is also just to put to bed, I don't think Ferrari just sort of lay out the red carpet just for Vettel, because, you know, Kimi does get flushed down the toilet on strategy a lot of the time, but also he does himself no favours with his qualifyings, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So there's a sort of double-edged sword there, but like when he's earned it, like today, I thought he drove brilliant today. I think he more than deserved that second place, and also it helps Vettel as well, not having to switch them around, because people, I think by nature, Hamilton's fan base is bigger than Sebastian's, and people tend to discredit Vettel's achievements, whether it's by car or by team orders or by tactics. So it's good that these things can't get pinned on him. Let's say if he does win the championship at the end of the season, and they can't say because of that Austria team switch. It's a sort of moment of holding your head up sort of thing. I think Ferrari, and also not to get the headlines in a race where they don't really need them. They sort of did the damage quietly. Verstappen took the headlines. So I thought that was also a nice touch. I think it's something that they needed to do and not switch them around, because then it would literally just been like Verstappen wins, but forget about that. The Ferrari switched their bloody cars around on the last lap of the race again. That would have been the headline. So.
Yeah, it'll undercut any achievement that he does.
Exactly.
But also, I think his achievement looks a little bit better because of the on-track battle between Hamilton and Vettel. We haven't actually seen a battle between them two, actually wheel to wheel.
Yeah, that was juicy.
In a very, very long time. And the fact that it got close and very, very close. I almost got 2016 flashbacks with Rosberg and Hamilton, because it looked like it was going to be the identical incident, because Vettel had to squeeze through because Hamilton gave him a good squeeze, so Vettel gave equally as much back, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. 2 world champions on the limit, producing some amazing racing. Whether or not Hamilton had issues or Vettel had issues or wherever, still an absolutely brilliant battle off the back of a couple of races where we haven't seen much battling at all between the top runners. I thought that is exactly what Formula 1 needed. 2 world champions, who the ones that are going for the championship lead,
actually race each other. Yeah,
I thought Hamilton's radio message was brilliant, because it's the sort of thing you put in the end of season montage when he was like, Bono, I need you to be quiet. I need to stick with him, otherwise I'm losing this. It's like a message of, I'm holding off everything I got, sort of thing. It was like a nice montage-ish
this
message.
Is for the championship.
I quite like. Yeah. Like, I've got to stick with him, otherwise I'm going. Forget the tyres. I've got to run with him. That's pretty sweet. I enjoyed that. So overall great. I think we just saw some great battles over the field, like we mentioned with the Raikkonen Ricciardo sort of dynamic. Verstappen, a great start. Both Raikkonen and Bottas, not the two most aggressive drivers, being very aggressive into turn 1 and turn 2 and 3. Just sort of seeing things we didn't see this race. But
it's funny to see. We get a good race when cars can overtake each other.
I think the extra DRS zone did a massive favour to keep the cars just a bit closer going into that turn 4 right-hander.
Yeah.
I'd definitely keep the DRS zone. I think it made a massive difference.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah, because it was always really frustrating because you'd have the one DRS into turn 1, then the cars would split apart going up towards turn 3 technically, and then they close back up again, and then they spread apart again. So it was like the most frustrating thing to watch. So the fact that they can carry that momentum through the end of sector 3, through basically going into the second sector, midway through the second sector, was brilliant. But that's the half an hour on the Formula A.
Formula A.
Speaking about
Formula B.
Speaking about the grey Ferraris now.
Yep.
Haas really look. I just love their car this year because it's just such an absolute fuckfest confusion of a car. Like, it's amazing one race, it's absolute dog shot the next. It's great here. I loved it. So yeah, it started off really well, quality. Like you mentioned earlier. I think Tom Cal about he could have maybe got even higher, Grosjean. And then in the race, well, Grosjean P4. 22 points as a whole for Haas this race.
That was Australia there.
Yeah,
and then
it's what it's what they should have got. So you can't really say much else apart from fantastic for them and good on Grosjean.
Australia for Austria. They took out the L.
Yeah, true, and good on for Grosjean. Obviously we kind of talked about it a little bit, I think, in previous podcasts and the media as well
last
about
podcast,
just slagging him off a little bit, and he's on thin ice maybe, and a lot of people were questioning like, is he going to go? Is he going to stay? So that for him, that's the kind of thing he needs, just perfect time, just to kind of bounce back. And he even said, I think before the race, I think it might have been like between Saturday or Sunday, that he was hoping that this race could then be like almost like a 2013 kind of resurgence sort of moment for him. Because he did that from 2012, tough year, 2013 resurged really well. And so, I don't know, it's, I think I said a few choice stuff about him earlier on the season, but I do still like the guy as a whole. He's a nice guy off out of the track. So I hope he can pull it through and start actually being the team leader he was meant to be in Haas, because K-Mag was never really meant to be the team leader, but he's been kind of thrusted upon as one in the last couple of races, getting those points, but Grosjean bounced back.
Exactly what they needed. Well. I was so shocked by the pace. It's the pace that shocked me. Like, they were comfortably faster than Force India and Renault, and I think obviously, basically the whole of the midfield were kind of scratching their heads like, where the hell has their pace come from? And the fact that they did out-qualify Red Bull was nutty, like around the track like that. And the fact that Grosjean out-raced Magnussen as well.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty much slam dunk. He deserved them 12 points, and he really needed them. And that's now shot Haas so far up the championship. They've ever taken 2 teams, ahead of Force India and ahead of, I want to say Renault, but it might not be. I think it might be McLaren.
I think it's McLaren.
McLaren, because after their somewhat poor race. Cue the conspiracy theorists from the start of the season.
The same
talk. So the Ferraris, the B-Tech Ferraris doing all right then.
Yeah.
I think fair play to them. I'm actually not surprised they've done well, because they were, even after the last race in the interviews, they were like, we're really looking forward to going to the next race because it just suits our car. The fast corners is exactly what our car is good at, and Austria is full of fast corners. So they sort of spoke, they let their mouths run like a motor, and luckily it didn't backfire. It paid off.
They
so fair play to them. Yep, and fair play. It's good to see them actually. Everyone felt bad for them at Australia, so it's good to finally get this sort of redemption in the exact same positions. It wasn't just like getting good points; it was the exact same positions they abandoned in Australia. So
supposed to add.
Poetic justice in that one, you could say.
Yeah, definitely. And like in terms of that kind of philosophy, maybe going to Silverstone, they could also do well there. Plenty of high-speed corners, so we'll watch out for the grey Ferraris, and we'll see how they do. But the ones behind them, Force India, obviously after a horrendous French Grand Prix with a double DNF. Obviously, Ocon's not his fault. Actually, even for Perez, what I'm talking about, it wasn't either of their faults.
Yeah,
so good justice for them as well. There's a lot of justice out there, actually.
They went quietly, but they went well.
Yeah, like I didn't really. Very much. That's literally the perfect sentence, because I didn't really see them at all on the TV feed, but they just did their business and got there.
Assassins.
And they were, the top Mercedes team.
That is true.
I said this to my dad. If you look at the running order, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 9th, 10th, Ferrari power cars around a Mercedes backyard track.
Yeah, a track where it's just straights basically, and you'd think the Mercedes would go well, but no, fair play to Force India, because in recent races they've gone a little bit off the grid. Like they've dropped a little bit further
They're a bit like
back.
Haas this year. They sort
And
of
especially Perez, we qualified in, what,
17th,
17th place?
Yeah.
So the fact that he made up 10 positions, there's a lot of drivers, obviously there were a lot of retirements, but there were a lot of drivers coming through the field, and I think Perez had quite a few good dogfights out there. I think Ocon was a little bit more reserved, like he was just kind of stationary, and I want to say, Force India they did like a switch to let Perez go off and try and attack Magnussen, but I think they
Could
swapped
have been
back.
a bit nasty though the way it happened.
Yeah.
Ocon sort of, it reminded me of Bahrain last year when Bottas let Hamilton through. I think it was last year when he sort of got out of the throttle and not
on
the place
racing
you
line.
really It was the same sort of thing again where Ocon sort of got on the brakes for turn 3 way too early and Perez sort of just had to like jolt to get out of the way. But yeah, I think they've done a good race. I think fair play to them. I think teams that deserved a bit of points for the effort they've been putting in, they finally got their redemption this race, put it that way.
Yeah. They and picking up on the mistakes of Renault and Toro Rosso, who are seeming to have a pretty bogey couple of races and flopping down. These two teams are stepping up and really making the most of it, and that's what you need in a season so long. Every opportunity, and this is what we mean when we speak about the front runners and Ferrari, and when Mercedes falter, Red Bull make the most of it rather than always Ferrari. And it's those little moments which add up towards the end of the season. But I think probably one of the drivers of the day, if not the driver of the day, I don't know who the official driver of the day was, with Fernando Alonso, pit lane to P8.
Done it again.
Absolutely sensational. I think the fact that he was stuck in P19 with Van Dorn behind him, obviously a lap down, and was like, what am I supposed to do? I cannot overtake anyone.
And I read a message on lap 2.
Yeah, you thought, oh my god, this is another race.
It's going to be one of them races.
Ape shit.
Yeah.
But the
fact
fact
that
that
the same thing at that point,
he had a mental strategy. I think he went 50 laps on one set of tyres.
At the end, he was doing bits at the end, wasn't he? He's just getting past cars left, right, and centre. He's like, mate, just get out of my way. I'm making my way to these points. Got past Gasly, like, nope, get out of the way, done. And also got past the Saubers as well. So, listen, I've made my thoughts very clear on Alonso. I think, you can argue maybe his attitude when it's not working for him, but I think he's got more than enough right to be pissed off at the situation he's in. But again, today he just showed around a track which honestly I would have never even put them down for points, never. And from pit lane to 8th, fair play. Is it?
I like his never say never attitude. Like, maybe during the race when things go bad, like he will kind of falter a little bit and go, I'm a little bit annoyed now. Kind of like with Hamilton, he'll let it get to his head a little bit. But if he takes it on the chin, like any issue of starting in the pit lane, he's like, right, I'm going to turn up today, and he does it. And I don't know how he does it, because that McLaren was dog shit all weekend, and Van Dorn was nowhere all race after getting that front wing damage. So the fact that Alonso just took it on the chin and carried it forward, which is exactly what McLaren need, because the moment they lose Alonso, I don't think they're ever going to be able to scrape points.
Yeah,
silly mistakes
Van
from
Dorn, car issue or not, he would have never been near the points. That was an Alonso job today. I'm right now to put it as this guy. I just think at his age, I think I've never seen a guy be so quick at his age, ever.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it either.
The last person I saw at 36 be that quick was Michael Schumacher when he first retired. Other than that, I don't know anyone else. So
I don't think there is, but that's pretty much it from McLaren. Apart from the fact that they broke about 1,000 front wings this weekend on the curbs. I think they broke about 5.
Them and Toro Rosso as well. Hartley had some issues with front wing damage
as well. Broke his suspension, didn't he?
Oh yeah, well, his was even worse. That was that was a debate in itself. Some people were like,
at least no one took off this weekend, unlike last year. We had cars taken off last year. Kvyat took off.
Yeah,
so
definitely,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, no kind of Baku situation almost where you think Gasly's going to take off like that.
To be fair, there's argument saying, is it a bad thing that the edge of the track is eating up cars and ruining cars? Well, the thing is, if there was a gravel trap there, they wouldn't go there, and the gravel trap does as much damage as what them curbs would do. And the fact that the curbs were a good deterrent, obviously structural integrity of a car is different. So you saw Verstappen flying all the way over those curbs, and the Red Bull didn't falter. Like, I don't think we saw a bit fall off that Red Bull every single time it went over the curbs.
I think it's up to the driver just to suss that out.
Yeah, well, don't go out there.
As
simple as that.
You pay the price. If you pay the risk, you pay the price.
If there's gravel there, you wouldn't go out there, so don't use it. And obviously, it does cost a lot of money. Like 5 front wings, I think McLaren went through. that's a lot, like a huge amount. And Toro Rosso with less money, eating up front wings as well. It's not nice to see, but still, if there was a wall there, like Monaco, you don't complain when you hit a wall.
Yeah, I think that was the argument. Yeah, like literally treat it like a wall and then just don't go there. So
you wouldn't hit it, but
yeah. Round out in the top 10, double points finish.
We mentioned that taking off before. Sauber taking off.
Yeah, well, yeah, double points finish for Sauber. Leclerc, Ericsson. Leclerc had some good battling out there with Lance Stroll early. That was nice to see. Like some nice racing with them.
And Gasly as well. Brilliant.
Yeah, and Gasly.
That dive bomb on Leclerc, not on himself, no, on Stroll into turn 3 from miles back. Like, that's not a top car. That's a not dog shit, but it's a below average car. So the way that car doesn't have the downforce, he got the stopping power, and like they mentioned on Channel 4 commentary, he didn't even lock up a wheel.
Yeah.
That was Ricciardo-esque in a below average car.
It was brilliant, absolutely. Like, and the fact that Ericsson's there too, because he did a brilliant strategy as well. Went very, very long on a set of softs at the start of the race, then did a late pit stop, came back through on a set of super softs to pick off Gasly. Obviously, Sainz already had a pit lane problem earlier on in the race, but
I think Ericsson has been
especially
unlucky in a couple
Leclerc.
of races.
I think Ericsson has been quite unlucky. I feel like he does get the
He's been
the
driving
dog shit
relatively well lately. I think he deserved that points finish today.
But let's not forget that Leclerc was off the track on like lap 2 as well. So he was stone dead last and he managed to come through back to the point. I think the field was slow anyway, but even still, the fact that
I think like the second half of the field went real slow in the opening couple of laps. It was really strange. They're all getting tangled over each other.
Yeah, very, very, very strange circumstance. But more points for Sauber. They're literally just getting their little basket and they're putting more and more points in.
Where are they in the
it's going to add up
now? They can't even, surely they must be like not second from last anymore.
I'll have a look now, but
I want to say they might have overtaken Toro Rosso, if I may dare say so. I know Gasly got 4
they're 3 points off Toro Rosso.
Yeah, Sauber is 9th with 16 points, but they are slowly picking up. The thing is with Sauber is obviously it's only recently that they started picking up points, so but they are catching up, which is the positive in all of it.
I mean, if they're scoring more points than Toro Rosso consistently. Like if you take out Gasly's 4th place at Bahrain, they're miles ahead of him. So it's just the chipping away sort of consistency. And I dare I say it, I think tracks like Spa and Monza will suit them because they're pretty nippy and straight.
I think we mentioned that before. That those ones in a straight line, they should be pretty good. And that's really the thing that Toro Rosso are lacking. I guess moving on to them in kind of a segue. Consistency. They've just had so many I think that I can't even remember the last time they actually had a consistent non-issue weekend from start to finish where something's gone wrong. If it's not the car related, it's something that the driver's done, like Hartley's made a mistake or Gasly's done something, or and then the engine goes or like the front wing breaks off. They just need to find that consistency where they just have a trouble-free weekend, I think. Because I think if they have a trouble-free weekend, I think they can get points for sure. Because Gasly showed that the car had some kind of pace because he was quite high up there in qualifying. So it's frustrating.
Marks, isn't it? It's hard to really pinpoint.
They're lacking a couple of tenths because that midfield is so close.
Yeah.
Like in Paul Ricard, he was 14th, but he was so close to Q3. It's fine margins for them, but they need to find like a quarter of a second, and they'll be like 5th best team sort of thing. Is that close at the minute?
Yeah.
It's sort of.
I mean, they brought an update to their front wing this weekend. Hopefully, they bring more stuff to Silverstone.
Only Hartley run the update though.
Yeah,
Hartley had a brand new updated car pretty much,
and he ironically broke it as well.
So,
but yeah, I mean that's good signs. Toro Rosso have always been known to kind of just drop off halfway through the season because they don't develop enough. I really hope that they do continue to bring little updates because, like you say, they need to find those little tents, and that's how you're going to do it. Is maybe just bring steady little upgrades rather than like a huge package. So I hope that's the case for them. And then pretty much
an odd part of the season for them, though, isn't it? Like.
Yeah,
I can't really work out what's gone wrong with Toro Rosso, but it feels like they have fallen back and they've just been swallowed.
It kind of
up
does feel like out of nowhere, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I never feel like it went right. If you take Bahrain out of the context, the best they've done is like 10th. Yeah. So it's not like I don't know if people put an unrealistic expectation on them, but they're there or thereabouts. There's like a P11, P12 vibe, but that Bahrain was just a freak.
I just look at look at every time in quali, like Gasly always looks pretty, like you say, pretty close to Q3. And then in the race, just things don't go the way they want them to. Hartley's always been a little bit woeful at quali, and then he kind of makes it up in the race a little bit, but then sometimes even his strategies just don't pay off.
They're missing something.
Even just getting the 10th place, like I don't think they should be maxing their Bahrain result. I'm just saying, like, just getting that 1 point, they should just be getting that every race, and it just isn't clicking for them to get that. So, and Sauber are reaping the rewards clearly for this race because double points finish. I mean. So there you go.
Yeah, when you've got one team falter and there's always going to be someone to pick it up, and you can't afford to do that race after race after race because you're just going to fall back in the championship. In the same way, I think this links quite well to Renault as well, who had another piss poor weekend, another retirement for Nico Hülkenberg. Sainz got royally messed over in the pit stop. God knows how he didn't manage to get that tyre on. It was just some... like, it's rare to see the tyre just not go on properly.
He was
usually
he's way out of the points, though, anyway. He was 11th and he came in for a pit stop. Like,
he was in the points. Away. I think he was in the points.
No, he was when he got overtaken like by 2 or 3 cars on the same lap. I think his tyres went or something, and I think he just came in. He was like...
The good thing for them is...
Tyres are gone.
They're in no man's land at the moment, of like points-wise, 62 to 49. And 189 to Red Bull. But now you got to think, okay, Haas might be good at Silverstone. If Haas have another good weekend, let's say minimum even 5-6 or 6-7 Haas get.
The rest, 7-8.
Haas get, yeah. Like, that means they're breathing down their necks, and so they're going to have to really start getting a move on again and kind of sort things out, because it was looking good. Like, literally, I feel like only 2-3 podcasts ago we were talking about, like, Sainz especially getting momentum, feeling more comfy. Maybe a little bit unlucky for Hulk, but yeah, it was good to see that the camp in general, Renault, were picking up momentum now and getting kind of comfy in their boots, as it were, of being like the best of the rest. And now you have this weekend where they bring this MGUK update, and then Hulkenberg's unfortunate of that engine just blowing up, and then Sainz just didn't have the pace. The tyres went off. Basically what opposite France, because like in France they had poor quali, and they said they were going to have good race pace. They did. In this race, and they didn't really say much about what they thought their race pace was going to be. Maybe because they knew it was going to be poor, because it was poor. So,
yeah, it's a few question marks, isn't it? Like the way they have dropped. Yeah, reliability. There's a question mark over that as well, because Hulkenberg's been hit by reliability issues, and I think Sainz had a problem in Paul Ricard, didn't he?
Well, France, yeah.
So they are having multiple issues, and off the back of the Red Bull deal, you look at it and go, maybe they have made the right deal. Then you look over to the Honda side, and you went, oh wait, another issue for Brendan Hartley. So
I think they would be okay though. They're generally they're a relatively consistent team. The only thing that lets them down is probably mainly reliability, but I think at Silverstone that's the sort of track where I feel like they'll run alright at, because it's not mainly straights and fast corners there, and I feel like they've just got a nice well-rounded package is what I'm trying to get.
They've probably got the most well-rounded package of the midfield.
Yeah, so I think
they're the most consistent over multiple Grand Prix, unlike a Haas where it's like up and down constantly. But we can move on to Williams, who again had another pretty piss poor weekend.
I'm not trying to take the piss. Okay, maybe I am, but I hardly saw, apart from Stroll's fight with Leclerc, I literally saw, like, if you had not shown me that like action of Leclerc and Stroll, I would be like, wait, what? Williams were in this race?
Yeah, Williams. The only thing that I remember was Stroll had yet another good start. He's like reminding me of Alonso in 2012, or even in other seasons as well, but especially 2012 Alonso, where every single start he'd have an amazing start.
At least he's got some enjoyment at the very start of the race.
Make up 5 positions and then just go backwards. How he ended up behind Sirotkin.
The only thing we saw was that battle with Leclerc and Stroll. That's all we saw.
Yeah,
pretty much.
The odd thing is I don't know how he managed to get behind Sirotkin. Looking at it, looking at the results.
Apparently, though, they felt like they ran better this weekend. They found something. So,
well, in quali, like for a brief moment. I mean, not a brief moment. In quali, it was better. So. I mean,
the biggest part of their weekend.
They brought no upgrades, so it's just a question of finding something with the car.
The biggest part of their weekend was the email gate, where the Claire Williams, when they did the zoom in on the email
I saw the article for it on like Twitter, but I didn't get time to click it and read it. What was that about?
It was Claire Williams emailing someone who works on the pit wall not being in the right uniform or something like that. And it was really like a passive-aggressive sort of email, and she showed it to one of our other female colleagues. and for
It's
some
what we
reason the
mentioned in
camera
the
looked
last
straight at
podcast.
it.
Yeah, it's what I mentioned in the last podcast. Oddly enough, they seem to care more about their team kit and how special they are rather than their car performance.
They care more about the fact that they're
sad.
Williams rather than the fact that they are last. Really.
That is worded perfectly.
Yeah, I think
you literally drop the mark on that and end it.
Yeah, let's end look, put the line there. That's fine there. So
but to be fair, can I just comment on overall Austria? Because I thought it not only the fact it was a brilliant Grand Prix, but it gave me like Silverstone build-up vibes. Like Austria, it seems like a really good event. Like, do you know? I don't know. Do you know? Just watching all the pre-race build-up, it felt like a proper good. I don't know. It feels like something's changed, and they've done really, really. Apart from the woeful graphics,
mate, didn't you love that red star though?
Oh my god, I don't see
Heineken,
the point,
mate,
honestly.
come on.
And
Heineken
the big luminous Formula One logo on the pit straight.
That
really
was gopping.
That was the sort of thing you'd see in some 1990s TV, sort of dodgy,
That was gopping.
overlapping, you know.
Yeah, but you know, I genuinely thought that the build up and the atmosphere around I'd love to go because I feel like it'd be a brilliant weekend. I think
We've got this yearly tradition of
yearly tradition
one race
after
every
Spa
year.
this year.
So,
Maybe we'll have to get. But honestly, it looked a really good event, and obviously with Red Bull winning as well, and all the I mean, I think the Dutch fans and the fact that there's now a Verstappen grandstand there, I think adds to
that was mad. The crowd noise the last 2 laps.
Yeah. I mean, you could hear music as well constantly. Like there was music everywhere. It was like
mental.
Like music festival. Like, do you know where you can hear like each stage and you can see like the lights and everything? It looked like a really good atmospheric weekend. So well done, Austria.
I like the banter between Verstappen and Vettel post race about the Verstappen village thing. About the tax. Yeah, like he was like, there's 20,000 people, and Vettel kind of got taken aback by 20,000 people in a place called the Verstappen village. So
last week it
nice.
was well done Paul Ricard. This week is well done Red Bull Ring.
Yeah.
Next week it's going to be F off Silverstone for a boring race and stupidly high prices. Goodbye.
Get off the calendar. No, don't.
Get out.
We like
It's going to be look, guys, look, don't bag it. We've got the super cool blue hard tyres coming.
Oh my god. Well, we may as well predict.
To be fair, we have to
Silverstone,
because
we?
it's a triple header, so we are going to get to that. I want to say a little anecdote is I'm looking forward to watching Silverstone and seeing Sainz in a Renault at Silverstone, just for the fact that if you guys remember when we were there in person, that was the weekend where that rumour started that Sainz might go to Renault, and I think us three especially got quite hyped about it. And so it's just a little nice little anecdote to be like
in your vlog.
Yeah, literally. So I think it's like a nice little anecdote. Like literally, it's been a whole year now since that rumour started.
I can't believe it's a whole year since we went Silverstone.
And it's an actual thing now.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Time goes quick.
Yeah, let's get on to predicting it then. So we're going to go for the poll first.
I think
for the British
only
Grand Prix.
one person here, surely.
I mean, I'm expecting man like LH to.
I think it's going to be LH44 blessed.
Do you know when he has a bad weekend and then the next weekend after that he storms the field?
Smashes it.
Like, and it alludes back to last year when he didn't do the F1 Live thing and then turned up and absolutely stomped the field. So
even though that's still like, I don't know, him not turning to F1 Live still seemed a bit. I don't know, it felt awkward. Like, the whole atmosphere was awkward. I mean, Arif, maybe you can relate, but even that was like, everyone's turned up except for the home favourite. Okay, cool. Okay, fine, whatever.
Look, you don't control LH. She does whatever the fuck he wants.
But yeah, I do want to say, I just want to, all I want is just for Silverstone to not be an absolute stomping like last year's race. I want it to be, I want to have some sort of like intrigue,
Yeah.
I'm literally, me personally, when the punctures happened, watching it live, I was like,
I don't want to allude to it being like, hopefully, well, I mean, I was about to say hopefully we get a bit of weather, but the weather in England at the minute is absolutely gorgeous.
No, I already looked ahead and it was like, it's really sunny. So.
Like, we've had a solid, I don't know, month of
we're
like,
in a heat wave, so...
Yeah, well, I mean, no, we're not, it's not even a wave anymore because it's lasted more than a week.
It's heat block.
Boys.
It's just on new weather.
Yeah, I think Pole, if we allude back to qualifying,
Pole.
It's probably going to be Hamilton.
Tom's already gone LH.
Yeah, Hamilton.
I mean, it's just not going to be anyone else, is there?
Exactly.
It's going to be
Don't
Hamilton.
even try to overthink it.
Carlos Sainz for the pole. Hamilton. So top 5 then. Tom, do you want to say top 5?
another shot in the dark because we have absolutely. I bet our predictions for Austria were pretty much.
I know
Wow.
what
Bang
I'm not going to go with what's obvious, so I'm going to say Sebastian Vettel wins to a flurry of boos. Hamilton gets second. VB gets third. Kimi Räikkönen P4. Do I want to go? Yeah, I'll say Kimi Räikkönen P4. And Max has got the wind in his sail, so I'm going to say he gets P5.
I'll have to say, I'll say Bottas win, Hamilton second. Let's put a Ricciardo on the podium, then Vettel, Raikkonen.
All right, I'm going to say...
I just listed names there, if I'm quite honest.
I'm going to say, if he gets pole, I think I can just see a very straightforward win, I think, for LH. So I'm going to go Hamilton. Second place, I'm going to go for... Let's go Daniel Ricciardo, bouncing back. Going to go third place, Valtteri Bottas. Vettel fourth. Kimi fifth. There's not enough places in the top five. I'm not gonna lie. I paused there for a second. Like, I really want to say Verstappen in there though, but there's just not enough places, is there?
Yeah.
Can I have a 4.5?
Yeah. It's almost like I have to think about, right, so who's gonna get fucked over and just have something happen to them? You know what? I'm gonna switch round. I'm gonna say Verstappen second. I'm gonna say Danny's the one that has another unfortunate weekend where something didn't go right for him.
Right.
I think the momentum
there goes our
karma's
weekly
with him.
List 5 drivers and hope that we're going to.
I mean, it's been a lot. It's in a good way. It's been a lot more difficult since we started doing the podcast to predict the races these days.
I've been semi-consistent this season, or at least the first few races.
Okay,
the
the first few.
I've got more right than anybody else.
Yeah, you have. So congrats, because
So-
in the past you've been woefully wrong compared to me and Cal.
I will take my cake and eat it. Thank you.
Yeah, fairs. But that has been the podcast then. I forgot actually. We do have some questions from the Patreon here. They all kind of do with nothing we discussed, so that's good. So the first one is Jake. If you're Gunther Steiner, do you keep Grosjean now? 2018. Does this one race sway your opinion, or do you want to see another race to really see how he goes?
Well, I mean,
Is he redeemed?
They have to keep him for 2018, but do they want to keep him for 2019? Then, yeah. I think so. I think especially after today, he just sort of reaffirms he can do it if you need to.
He's had too much of a shit season for me to stick.
I mean,
he's had one good race.
I think I'm like in the middle. I would be like, I need to see 3 more good races like that, where he takes the opportunity when it's handed to him. Then I would say, yeah, re-sign him. But right now, it's too early to call.
For me, there's not a good enough replacement out there. There's not a driver like someone I would say he would go straight into that seat. Hence why I think Grosjean would stay.
Fair enough.
Giovinazzi.
You just said in the last podcast you think that the time's passed him by. That sort of.
I didn't
window.
say that. I think Arif said that.
I'm 95% sure you said that.
Nah, I just said that he needs to get. Well, he would need to get in a seat now. I mean, to be fair, he didn't have a brilliant. I mean, the only thing I can remember is him crashing in Hungary, in the Haas.
And China.
And yeah.
In the Sauber.
That Sauber was piss poor.
We've
got a new revolutionised Sauber these days, but no, I think they might need a bit more youth to push them for. I don't know. It's up to Haas really, because when it comes to whether or not they want to keep rebuilding their cars, or if they want to have someone to lead the team, or it comes down to, I feel like he needs a couple of races to see if he still deserves the seat.
Yep. And then the second question from Ram McPhee is going to be, how can we get the midfield to catch the front 3? The gap every race is pretty ridiculous. I mean, we've talked about it quite a lot actually, because it's been something that I think all 3 of us have pointed out multiple times, especially in the last 5 races. I want to say it's been more obvious than ever. Yeah. We discussed it before. It's a lot to do with the budget, I would say. I think also the regulations for 2021, maybe in terms of the way they maybe restrict certain areas of the car, where maybe the top teams can spend more in that area to kind of research and develop stuff.
Well, it says everything.
If I knew the answer, I would not be on this podcast. I would be in Spielberg right now if I knew the answer to that question. So I do not know the answer.
All right.
Okay then, Jesus.
No, I think when you look at the race results and everyone but the podium was lapped, says a lot. It is a track. It is a track.
It's quite bad. Yeah.
It's literally the
I was
podium.
like, oh.
Only the podium did 71 laps today. Like, it is only
Right in the
a
fields.
1 minute whatever lap, like 1 minute 5 second lap or whatever. So it is short. I mean, Monaco we didn't have many laps, but that was a completely different story with tyres and everything and people not pushing. I think it is just going to, it boils down to money at the end of the day. It boils down to money,
that pay structure.
resource, and a cost cap to stop Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari from running away with it. And I think it goes to show, because obviously we talk about manufacturers, how they have an advantage. We must not forget the fact that we still have McLaren and Renault in technically Formula B. So it's not just the manufacturing, I think it's also the momentum you've built up through time. And that comes from multiple millions spent over multiple years, not just
you could argue
the money
Renault,
spent right here,
Renault
right
only
now.
in a third year of a rebuild job. McLaren have been rebuilding since 2013, 12.
Yeah.
You can give Renault the sort of... They are progressing. They're fourth in the constructors in their third year. So
They are going well, yeah. They are going well.
McLaren, though, are... won't
Try.
talk about that one. We've talked
Yeah.
about enough about that one.
But that's a long-term thing that Ross Brawn needs to put his thinking cap on.
I think Liberty Media definitely they've always like brought up like the whole, they want to look at like a cost cap, and like a structure that's a bit more similar to maybe other sports that do it a little bit better, or not a little bit better, a lot better. So I think that's maybe the main answer. And then I don't know, it's also kind of in the nature of F1. I don't think there's ever been a case of like the entire field's been uber like consistent in terms of gaps. There's always been a little bit of a jump from. Like,
I mean, you
one
can't
group.
compare it to F2, which is a spec series.
Yeah, it's not a spec series. There's always, no matter what, there's always going to be a little bit of like a tiny gap between Group A to Group B to Group C and Group D or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like even if you gave everyone the tools to be a level playing field, Williams would still be last, for example.
Probably.
Because they just don't know how to make a car anymore. Same as McLaren. Some things won't change.
And on that
Yes.
bombshell, I think we're going to end it out. So that's been podcast number 89 then, guys. If you have enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button. Let us know what you thought in the comments below about any of the stuff we discussed. Let us know your predictions for the cheeky British Grand Prix, the home one. Looking forward to watching that at home in front of a fan, because it's going to be hot still. Home one.
I'm going to be in Zante, so I won't be able to.
You're going to be watching it at a bar at some.
Yeah,
probably.
I'm going to be.
So enjoy that.
Off my tits, even though this podcast.
Oh, that brings on to a good point. We're going to have to try and find a replacement for you for next week. Well, me and Tom will sort that out later. We won't discuss it here on the podcast. We'll sort it out. We'll sort it out.
Let's do it now.
We'll sort it out. No, let's just discuss for another 20 minutes the
negotiations.
private affairs of how to plan this thing. But yeah, no, if you guys did enjoy it, then yeah, go ahead and hit the like button. If you're new around here, do get subscribed to this channel for the podcast. Check out these two on Twitter. Links on the screen as always. What else am I forgetting? If you do want to get a racing chair, then you can check out GT Omega and use the code PitlaneF1. Obviously, we mentioned those two questions were from our Patreon page. So if you do want to get involved by, being able to submit us questions when we do ask, we just kind of literally go, we're about to record. Do you want to, ask a question? And you can do that if you support us over on Patreon. Also, if you just like what we're doing around here, it's a good way to kind of directly support us a little bit more, because YouTube can be a little bit iffy up and down, as it clearly has been the last 2 weeks if you read around. And yeah, I mean, we're on audio, but you guys know that by now. The links are in the description. SoundCloud, iTunes, still SoundCloud going strong. SoundCloud going strong still. iTunes as well. So I appreciate all you guys who listen on audio on the go. A little bit weird that you might listen to us on the way to work or school, but that's pretty cool. But yeah, I've been rambling on for too long, so we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day.